wow, I have 10 weeks to crush this prep and bring an extraordinary physique to the Olympia stage, to bring my best.
Yo, what is good, YouTube? Krishan checking back in with another video. Let's start today's video off with a recent update from Derek Lunsford at about 10 weeks out from the Mr. Olympia. And as you guys seen in the beginning of this video, Derek is very motivated going into this year's show. If you aren't subbed to Derek, if you don't watch his videos, you are definitely missing out. And I know everyone is working hard going into this year's Olympia, Hottie, Nick, Samson, but every video I watch of Derek Lunsford, I have to be honest with you guys, I leave the video thinking this guy's gonna win this year's Olympia. But I don't want to make a statement like that just yet, even though it's very possible. We can't forget about our champion, Hottie Chupin. And Hottie could have arguably won every Olympia he's competed in. We cannot count him out going into this year's show. Derek's biggest weakness is conditioning and detail from the front, which is a strength for Hottie Chupin. But Derek has had an entire year off under the guidance of Honey Rambod. He may not have the level of muscle maturity as a Hottie Chupin, but hopefully it is improved from last year. And they couldn't even tempt Derek with $300,000 to do the Arnold Classic. He was 100% focused on the Mr. Olympia. Derek said he really had to sit back and evaluate why is he doing this, and that is to win the Mr. Olympia title. Get your popcorn ready for this year's Olympia. Now let's switch over to Samson Dauda. Samson posted this on his story. A few people might have missed this update, but Samson is looking crazy ahead of this year's Olympia. Again, Samson Dauda and Derek Lunsford have the most impressive physique updates I've seen going into this year's show, but they have to bring it to the stage. But to be 10 weeks out, I think Samson is in pretty good condition. Samson is a guy that somewhat struggles with his conditioning, at least in the glute area. Hamstrings always showcase a lot of detail. I think the only time I've seen Samson's glute striated were at the Arnold Classic in the side chest pose, but that didn't hold him back from winning the Arnold, and it won't hold him back from moving up at the O. Now let's switch over to Michal Krizo. Krizo posted this update to his YouTube channel, and I can't really take much from this. 10 weeks out, it looks like Michal Krizo is in pretty good condition. The main weakness for Krizo is his lower body from behind. Going into the Olympia, the only thing Krizo can really do is work on his posing, and Krizo also needs to make sure his tan is on point at the Olympia. He has had a few bad tans in the past, if he tanned at all. Now let's switch over to Blessing Awodibu. Blessing posted some very impressive updates at 2 weeks out from the Italy Pro. Possibly the best back double bicep I've seen out of anyone going into this show. Looking at these updates has me wondering, can Blessing Awodibu win this show? Can he beat Regan? If not win, can he beat Nathan DeAsha? You guys let me know in the comment section below. Looks like Blessing is going to bring his absolute best. Now speaking of Regan, he also posted up a recent physique update. And the amount of detail that Regan is showcasing from top to bottom is pretty impressive. And also, this video is taken at a slightly lower angle, so the lower body may look bigger, upper body may look a little bit smaller. But Regan looks on track to also bring his best to this Italy Pro. Now let's switch over to Nathan DeAsha, who will also be in that show. I believe I said 2 weeks, but it's about 1.5 weeks at this point. And as we discussed in the last video, Nathan is now working with Boss of Outlaw, who also coaches Urs Kalecinski. I'm very confident in Nathan's conditioning at this show and also his posing, but I'm a little bit worried about the size of his legs. And looking at the updates of Blessing Awodibu and looking at Nathan DeAsha, I think Blessing may be able to give him a run. You guys can call me crazy. And let's switch over to Good Vito, also in Italy. All of the top guys are putting out updates. The first thing that I noticed about this update, the left leg that Good Vito injured seems to be a little bit down in size. But Vito looks very impressive in these updates. And I have no idea why people aren't really hyping him up going into this show. Vito has to work on this rear leg spread execution, by the way. I have no idea what he's doing at this shot. Chris Aceto, help this man out, please. But Vito is an absolute freak. He's first call out for sure. Now let's switch over to Charles Griffen. These updates of Charles are ahead of the Legion Sports Fest. We should be about 5 or 6 weeks out from this show. And as of right now, I know that Charles is doing Legion, John Jewett moving up to Open, and we also have William Martins. And whoever doesn't win in Europe, we could possibly see them in Legion as well. And I'm looking forward to seeing Charles Griffen on stage. As you guys know, he suffered from a pec tear earlier this year and was unable to compete. But Charles is looking to qualify for this year's Olympia and move up from 14th. Now let's switch over to Courage Opara, a guy that we rarely talk about. Courage will be competing in the San Antonio Pro. I believe we're about 4 weeks out from that competition. And honestly, this guy could probably win Classic and 212. Courage is a classic bodybuilder, by the way. This guy has definitely added some size. And as you guys can see in the back double bicep, this is probably his weakest pose, but this has significantly improved. I believe Courage actually won Texas and Tampa last year in the classic physique division. And let's switch over to Cutler Urs Kalecinski. Looks like these two did a little pose down, but take a look at the conditioning of Urs Kalecinski's quads at 10 weeks out from the Olympia. But Urs is a guy that's pretty much always in good condition. His quads were striated in the offseason when he was 270 pounds. But classic physique, it isn't as interesting as men's open bodybuilding because I think it's just very predictable. But the division is great nevertheless. Going into this year's Open Olympia, we don't know who's going to win. Going into Classic, Chris Bumstead is going to win. But back to Urs Kalecinski, if he wants to move up at the Mr. Olympia, he has to beat Ramon Dino. For Urs to beat Ramon, I think he needs bigger arms or a bigger back or possibly even both. But I think one of those two areas has to come up for him to beat a guy like Ramon, who is very good in both of those areas. And let's switch over to Flex Lewis, who recently posted up some images. Flex, of course, is a retired 212 7-time Olympia champion, and I think he's looking pretty good in retirement. Hopefully no one starts the narrative of he's going to come back and do the Masters in Classic Physique, but Flex is looking pretty good here, guys. Just wanted to share this with you. Always good to see bodybuilders looking healthy in retirement. But let's go ahead and wrap up today's video here with the archive of the day. A pretty easy one to guess, but you guys let me know in the comment section below who is this bodybuilder. And as always, I hope you guys did indeed enjoy this video. If you haven't done so already, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'm Krishan from Go Fitness, and that's it. I'm out.